Not a lot of people know this, but Dasani, the water bottle company, actually puts in their ingredient list salt in their water. Now, this might seem kind of strange. Like, why would they put salt? Are they just trying to make their consumers more thirsty so that they'll drink more Dasani and therefore buy more bottles? Well, it turns out salt is a required component of hydration. You cannot have water purely existing within your body. Now, they say it's like our body's 70% water. Well, there's no such thing as pure water in your body. It is always bound to an electrolyte, like sodium, like salt. So that's why they put salt in their water. So, why am I talking about Dasani water? How does this relate to humility? Well, I think there's a big misconception a lot of people have with humility. They think it's just simply thinking low of yourself, or submitting or humiliating yourself, or anything like that, which would degrade your self esteem. But that is actually far from the truth. So, humility is a double-sided coin, just like hydration. Just like you need H2O, but you also need sodium to bound the water to your body. So when someone humbles themselves, it is simply a means to an end. It is not the end. In fact, the end is actually in a state of high self-esteem, of which humility has brought someone to that point, if that makes any sense. Humility basically pries away false beliefs about one's self and their abilities. And it might be painful, it might make you feel like shit to begin with, the process of humbling yourself, but you cannot humble yourself without also building yourself up. Now you might be like, well, what is wrong with simply just being servile, having a low opinion of yourself? Why not just keep that? Well, okay, so you want to do that. You want to have a low view of yourself. Now let me ask you this. How long do you think you can maintain that frame with other people? How long can you maintain that view that you're less than others? If you're being honest, the answer is probably not very long. And that's because you are imbalanced. It is an unnatural state to view yourself as less. Now, you might improve, you might do a lot of improvement during that time. Like if you have a low opinion of yourself and you want to get better, you might get really good at improving yourself, but those improvements will serve no master if you yourself do not build yourself back up from a state of humility. Do not think of humility as a lifestyle. Think of it as a tool to bring out your authentic self. And that might mean acknowledging your weaknesses and your limitations and praising others for their strengths and accomplishments. That very much is a healthy sense of being, but you have to view yourself as equal to whoever you are comparing yourself to. If you do not view yourself as an equal, then you're still in the process of breaking yourself down. You need to build yourself back up, preferably at the same time as you're breaking yourself down. You should build yourself back up. Not everyone can do that, of course. Some people just get sucked into breaking themselves down and humbling themselves, but they don't reinforce, or they don't counteract that with building yourself back up. The end goal is to find, as Jay Shetty, who I love that author, but as he would say, find your dharma, find your place in the universe where you're at peace and you are aligned with your higher self. That is what humility does, is it aligns you with your higher self, and it breaks away distractions or false beliefs or false pretenses or anything that you have about yourself. It's not just pride too. It's also, if you think poorly of yourself, humility strips that away too. It's not just pride. That's why I say it is a tool and is very useful. Don't think of it as a way to just humble yourself with no end in sight. That's not what humility is. You're supposed to be at peace. You're supposed to feel content and connected to everyone else and their aura and their dharma. And you're supposed to find a spot in the universe where you're content and that you are serving others with your own talents that your higher self has bestowed, or you can say God has bestowed upon you. Your talents, your dharma, your true self, use that to serve others and the universe will serve you. One last thing before I go. People sometimes this is very ironic, but people pride themselves off of being humble. They're like, oh no, I'm not this, I'm not that. And it's very cringe when people say this, when in reality they are very talented or they're very capable. It's like when someone gives you a compliment, people like to downplay that, like, oh no, I'm not attractive, or I'm not this or that. When in reality, the humble approach would be to gracefully accept that compliment. But that takes humility of being stripped down of this pride of being humble, if that makes any sense. So, moral of the story: be proud of yourself. Obsess over your good qualities. Well, maybe not obsess, but don't deny yourself. Accept who you are. Learn to accept others too. That is also the part of the double-sided coin. Accept people for their flaws and accept yourself. Don't deny who you are, what you have. Get rid of this false pride you have of being humble, because that is no better than being proud when you shouldn't be proud.